everything they're doing is scheduled.
I mean, that's what I said. I don't have any particular attachment to it. If somebody that can use it regularly, it probably should be. But there are times where it makes sense.
Yeah. Put it right here.
Well, so the thing is, the reason that that thing exists was that it was during a time, especially this time of year, I think where Leon felt, be here. And actually, what he did, if I remember correctly, was he did Kabbalat Shabbat here, and then he would go to the Beam of the rest. And then he did most of the Saturday morning service here. So for before COVID, I was using it constantly. I'd say I used it more than I used, but that was before streaming. Right? So the streaming, it's a solvable thing. Like if we really wanted to do that, I could wear the headset. And then I look like a total amateur, And to be honest with you,
I would like to change the curtain.
Me too. I think they're working on it. So that together. And otherwise, it takes away from the holidays. Kind of this thing. What I would like to see, if possible, is there a way to get lighting for those two windows just during this service? Because during the day, it's really nice when there's light coming through.
You can put lights.
You can put lights out, right? Or something. Anyway. And then we just got to differently kind of put that.
Yeah, we have a whole checklist to do.
I'll put that water at the top of the list. Something's definitely wrong with it. I drank some out of the sink. It was like soap. Something was definitely wrong. Otherwise, I mean. But I imagine we're not exactly there.
We still owe money.
Yeah, right.
We owe 134. And the last payment was 90. And I spoke to Ron, he's going to pay money. I don't know how much.
I'll have to see what it is. I'll have to do like that. But if that's the case, you need me to make the rounds with you.
What?
You need me to make the rounds with you.
I'm not up to that yet.
No,
I'm not up.
Yeah.
Because I have some people I need to speak to. I just can't do it.
Look, you know as well as I do. The timing on this stuff is very important. Right? If you push too much on certain things for a long time, you get nothing back. So you would do a remarkable job of knowing exactly what it costs, exactly what not to cost. It's not an easy thing to do.
Hello.
Right, one step,
I think he just said it once. I think that was a mistake when he said it 2 times.
What?
To say it twice. I think it only like once.
Oh, you only do it once?
You like, I think, ask him. Most people just He's working in a very attractive place. Oh, and the lights are like fuel and everything. Are you gonna walk and through this whole thing?
I hope I'm not gonna sneeze. I have my throat done.
Yeah, are those lights on dimmers?
I don't think they ever tried it.
It's just so glaring.
Well, then let's see if we can.
I can't hear.
Which ones do you feel in the ones in the chandeliers? Or
I think so. It's like an
they are. They are.
I don't know.
I'm not still never sure what things I'm adjusting.
She's the one who. If they're not, they should be.
Yeah, well, remember that was our old song.
She can hear.
That one up. Ah, there we go.
Oh, that's good. I don't know what it is.
Let's see.
Now it's dimming. Yes, it is.
So, okay, those ones. Okay.
That
Let's
one did.
find a happy medium here.
And really, it's like an
That's
upgrade.
too much there.
That one did.
Yeah, that, but the other one's still not
This is
in.
fine, yeah, how you feeling?
This is better. I don't know what happened. So there's your first.
Did that help at all? Or did it make it worse?
That's better.
Better? Okay. I exist for my people. Not the other way around. You know, it's always a delicate balancing act. Good to see you. Shabbat shalom. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, no, I think that feels a little nicer. A little less intense. Well, you know, because the thing is, the new lights that we've been in are all LED lights, and they're more.
I know, they're like
These ones, no matter what we did, they were. And remember the things that used to be here. I mean, that was it blinded everybody. I never knew because I was up there. I couldn't see.
I'm throwing those out.
And now I would like a different color on the walls.
Oh no, really? I mean, I thought the choice for the ceiling was brilliant.
That's okay, but we used to have a much warmer butterscotch.
Is that true? Yes, Mimi.
Where's the flag coming back?
So, good questions.
It's missing. There's something missing.
No, that's what it's the flags that you remember and the red chairs that you remember. So, yeah, no, well, no, but that actually. So the question about like, some kind. What's a good word for that? Some kind of flowers or things like that. So like the first bat mitzvah, the first service that was here, Jerry. First bat mitzvah that was here. Hi guys, Shabbat Shalom. First Shabbos back, so they had like a giant thing of cherry blossoms. Oh my goodness, the whole family. I don't think I actually met you all together. This is a treat. Professor, how are you? Professors, I should say, right? That's yes, indeed. Okay, well, it's wonderful to see you guys. Thanks so much for coming. Shabbat Shalom.
There's a closet back here.
Okay, so I've been waiting to meet you. I've been waiting to meet all of you, but
Just so that I can tell you who your face, what your mother means. They don't. She was my Hebrew teacher, my professor in HC, and she won't even remember this college, but she sticks so many people's Hebrew over the years. But she was testing me at one point in her office, and she noticed that I had a hard time with Hebrew with a vowels above and below. That tracking the reading for some people is not easy. Right? English, for the most part, you just read left to right and just go from one same line. Hebrew, you have to go a bit. So she pointed that out, and ever since she pointed that out, my Hebrew reading went like that. And it was the simplest thing, and I've been, again, school my father started, but I've had Hebrew teachers you can imagine for my whole life, until I got to middle school, but someone just pointed that out, and it changed my life like that. So it's not there. That's just one example. She is one of the most brilliant people I've ever had heard of. Easy. come to reform communities for child welfare things, right? So, you know, if she's got a place to stay that's convenient, maybe we can figure that piece out of it, but she's like at the top of my list. But nobody. I mean, truly. Fabulous.
Well, an absolute treat, and I hope you will give her my very best regards, really. I think she's also responsible for me winning an award at HUC that I still don't know why I won.
Did you know what the award was?
I did. This is actually a funny story. So, I got my first awards at HUC, I think, as a second-year student, and it came in the mail, and I assumed it was a bill. So I almost threw it out. I didn't even know that there were awards. And so I got this one, and I got the award one year in Jewish literature, which, if you know me well, and you know how unlearned I am, it was the most absurd thing that I ever got, that my name was associated with a Jewish literature prize of any sort. And the only reason I can say that I got anything of it, for sure, is because of Dr. Wendy Zierler. No doubt about it. So, just don't hold me to the highest level. I'm just her students. That's it, as it were. But it's a treat to see all of you together, especially the whole family together. It's really very nice. Okay, see what time it is. 6 o'clock? Good Shabbos, everyone. Good Shabbos, everyone. So for those that are maybe don't know, it's actually my longest stretch away since my son was born. So that's 3 years ago plus, and I had a couple of teeth removed and not fully recovered. So we're going to see how this is going to go. And without Cantor Kevin here, we're really going to see how this goes. So especially those that are of the singing type, I'll appreciate all the help I can get tonight. And I'm also coming off a few days of some fairly significant painkillers. So if I'm not making any kind of sense to anybody, you will forgive me. But, I'm very happy to be back here with all of you. I'm very happy to be back here and to be celebrating Shabbat. And we're going to begin, as we always do, with candle lighting on page 120. And I think Linda is going to do the honors tonight. And we continue to have 2 sets of candles, of course, lighting for those in Israel that still held hostage and not light for themselves. And I'll use this. I didn't answer the question about where the flags are. That's true. I'll answer that later. We'll get back to that. There's an answer to it. Amen. Linda, thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom. So we'll turn now to page 130 to begin our service. If you're joining us for the first time here, our Siddur, our prayer book, looks like this. So if you have any trouble finding it, there should be one in each pew. But if not, just raise a hand. I'm sure Marsha back there will be happy to help. She's always very helpful with that. Again, page 130 at the very top. Lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, ladonai. Lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, ladonai. Naria, naria, letzuri, shenu, nekadma, fanav betodah. Naria, naria, letzori shenu, bizmihirot naria lo, lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, ladonai. Lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, lechu nerahanena, ladonai. We're now on page 131, Shiru Ladonai, just towards the middle of the page. Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Meyom Leyom Yeshuato, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato, Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru ladonai baruch shemo. Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. We'll turn to Or Zarua on the bottom of page 132. Or Zarua lahatzadik ulehishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua lahatzadik ulehishrei lev simcha. Simechu tzadikim b'Adonai vehodu lezecher kodsho. Simechu tzadikim b'Adonai vehodu lezecher kodsho. Turn now to Zamru Ladonai on the top of page 134. Zamru ladonai bechinor, bechinor bekol zimra, bachatzotzrot bekol shofar, hahari lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayamum lo'o, tebehel beyoshveva. Neharot yimchahu chaf yachad harim yiraneinu lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz yishbot tevel betzedek vehamim b'mesharim. Yiram hayamum lo'o, tebehel veyoshveva. Neharot yimchahu chaf yachad, harim yiraneinu. We're now on the bottom of page 135, or the middle in Hebrew, I should say, the last paragraph, Romamu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. We'll turn now to Lecha Dodi on page 138. We'll do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs. And for the ninth paragraph, if you're with us here in the room, we'll rise and face towards the door as we walk through. And again, just for the final paragraph, page 138. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet ve'litilam. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor haberhacha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh v'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Fifth paragraph. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi, Kevod Adonai Allahayich nikla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Boim shalom ateret mala, Gam besimcha uvetzola, Toch emunei aham segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. We're now on page 140, Tzadik Katamar, just where the Hebrew indents in the middle of the page. Tzadik Katamar Yifrach, Keres Baal Vahanon Yizke Shetulim Bevet Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu On Yenuvun Beseva Deshenim Verananim Yehu Lehagin Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Ahablata. Now rise and body or spirit for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkadal vehitkadash shemei rabba, ve'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'galaha, u'v'izman kari ve'imeru, amen. Yeshmei rabba mevarach, La'alam li'al me'al maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha brichu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamiran be'alma, Veimeru. Amen. Remain standing for the Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevora. Please be seated. We'll turn now to page 148. We'll read together in English at the very bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evil. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai Tzvaot shemo. Echai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Amahari v'arahavim. We'll turn now to page 150, and we'll read together in English at the very bottom of the page. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Ki ehem chayenu v'horech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'lahaila, ba'avatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please join me on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha, ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, ve'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech, U'shachbecha uvkumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam amezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim leloechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. We're going to read together on the top of page 157 before we continue to 158. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, but there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to page 158, Michamocha at the very top of the page. Yabai bai bim 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 bam, yabai bai bim bam, yabai bai bim 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 bam, yabai bai bim bam. Yai bye ba 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 ba, ya ba bye bye bim bam. Yai bye ba 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 ba, ya ba bye bye bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, norat hilot o sefele, norat hilot o sefele. Yabai bai bim 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 bam, yabai bai bim bam, yabai bai bim 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 bam, yabai bai bim bam, yabai ba 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 ba, yabai bai bim bam, yabai ba 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 ba, yabai bai bim bam. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokeam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeili anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov u'golo mi'ad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rising up, waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu is on the top of page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim Ushmor tzeteinu uvoehinu lechaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. Turn now to Vishamru on the top of page 162. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam Einai beini Uvein bnei Yisrael oti le'olam Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash. I invite us all to rise in body or in spirit as we begin the Amidah together on page 164. From that point on, we'll continue silently. As always, please go at your own pace, and when you're finished, if you're still standing at the end, you may be seated. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Oseh shalom bimromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yehoshvei Tevel. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We'll turn now to page 371 as we first offer our Mishaberach, our healing prayer, and then we'll offer our prayer for Israel in time of war. As we begin thinking first of those in our community who we know are in need of healing, tonight we're thinking of Rona Klopman, Josephine Getling, Barbara Goldfarb, Abigail Blum, Betsy Tepper, Allison Luckman, Michael Klinghoffer, Ame and Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivia Devora Bat Francis, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriela Spicer, Barbara Kushner, David Kyle Klopman, Lorraine Davis, Richard Gambino, Kim Birnbaum, Deborah Black-Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Devora Batsima, Sue Wartor, Harav Adam, Ben Asher, Umazal. In addition to those names that we just shared, if anyone is thinking of anyone that they would like to mention out loud, we'll start on this side of the room and work towards the back and this side of the room. And if you have names to share, just raise a hand so we don't pass over anyone.
Diane Schreck, Sylvie Mintz, Martin Newman, Mario, Maria Scotia, Toby Dancer, Judy Richard, Maria Kennedy, Frenchie Joe O'Hare, Selena Valley, and Patricia Cole.
Let's join together on the page 371, just in the middle of the page, and we'll sing our prayer of healing. Misheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now, prayer for Israel in time of war. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors. You know that the Jewish people are one nation with one heart, and that heart is broken. With the grim news of so many of our sisters and brothers in Israel killed, wounded, and kidnapped, we turn to you, O healer of broken hearts, binder of their wounds. Be with our brothers and sisters who have been taken captive, and with the families of the victims. Watch over the hostages, break their bonds, and bring them out from darkness to light. Proclaim release to the captives, liberation to the imprisoned. Comfort the families of all those murdered, bring them under the shelter of your wings. Bring complete healing of body and spirit to all of the wounded. Bind up our wounds and grant us healing. Sur Yisrael v'goalo, rock and redeemer of the people Israel. Bless the state of Israel, the initial manifestation of our redemption. Shield it with your care. Spread over it your shelter of peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Grace them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Crown their efforts with victory. Bless the land with peace, its inhabitants with lasting joy. Shomer Israel, guardian of Israel. Strengthen and bless the defenders of Israel who stand guard over our land, on the land, in the air, and on the sea. May we see the promise of the psalmist. You turned my mourning into dancing, my sackcloth into robes of joy. God, protect, preserve, and restore peace and well-being to Israel, your people. And together we say, Amen. So I'll be honest with you, I had a fairly complex sermon planned for tonight, and my teeth, or lack thereof, are telling me that that sermon is probably not going to take place tonight. And I'll say for the professors in the room, it was involving Kant and deontological ethics, all sorts of things, another time perhaps. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to use what I actually am going to teach tomorrow morning. I'll use tonight, and I'll find something for tomorrow. But I will apologize, because it's very important to me whenever I learn a teaching from someone else that I attribute that teaching to the person I heard it from. And so this was something I came across, my dad had sent me from a rabbi, and I just am not remembering her name at the moment. So I'll make up for that somehow or another tomorrow. I'll mention where it came from, because it's important. So what she taught was about this week's Torah portion. This is the Torah portion that closes out the book of Genesis. And in the process of the closing out of the book of Genesis, we have a lot of, how can I put this, loose threads being tied up. And by that I mean, this is the end of the Joseph narrative, which is a complex one in and of itself. And it's the end of really the whole story of Breshit and the story really of Abraham and Sarah and their descendants up until that point. And for those of us that remember the story well enough, know the beginning of Joseph's life and the relationship with his brothers was not an easy one, okay, to say the very least. And even the inklings we get at the beginning of that story is that the relationship of all the sons to their father Jacob was not an easy one. And so at the end of Jacob's life, he gathers all of his children, and indeed not just his children, but 2 of his grandchildren. And he offers them what I will loosely define as blessings, but should you decide to open the Chumash in front of you and to look at what those blessings entail, I think that's probably not an accurate rendition. He tells them the truth about each and every one of them, oftentimes to a very biting nature. He describes his own sons, some of them who acted with great violence in their life, with a seriousness, but with, I think, also a sense of urgency, that he tried to impart to his children a message before his passing for them to understand the nature of who they were, but not necessarily to become, how shall I say, attached to that reality, right? To give them a sense of self, perhaps in order to change some of the aspects of self that needed some changing. But the focus of the teaching that I want to share with you tonight is about this one really beautiful moment amongst the challenging blessings, the true blessings that are really given in this parsha at the end of the Torah, given to Jacob's grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, so those of you that may have grown up in a household like I did, on Friday nights, customary for parents to bless their children with what is sometimes called the threefold blessing, the priestly blessing, Yivarechecha Adonai v'Yishmerecha, etc. But prior to that, if you're blessing a boy, you say to them that you should be like Ephraim and Manasseh, okay? That's the blessing that you should have. Before you get even into God's blessing, that the archetype of the young boy is to be like these 2 characters. And then in the case of girls, women, we are directed towards the matriarchs, okay? Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah. So the rabbis ask a very logical question. Why is it that in the case of women, we would use the matriarchs, right? That makes perfect sense. We look to our greatest progenitors and we say, these are the people we hope our children will be like. But if that's the case, wouldn't it make equal sense for the boy's equivalent to be Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? So how do we get to Ephraim and Manasseh of all choices? So there are many answers. As with most questions in rabbinic tradition, there's no one answer to anything. But this one answer that this one rabbi shared was a really brilliant one, I thought. Why Ephraim and Manasseh? In the history of brothers, up until this point, let's just say the relationships have not been great. Okay? In many cases have actually been terrible, to the point in which, in certain instances, death was very much a possibility. Right? One was going to kill the other. And if we go back further than Abraham to the first brothers, anybody remember who they are? Very good. How did that end? Not good. Not good. So here we get to Ephraim and Manasseh. Now, an interesting thing happens in this case. Okay? As has been the pattern up until this point, when you have two brothers, right, the natural standard process is older brother is the progenitor of the next line, gets the birthright, continues the legacy. In the case, every time, though, we get a reversal of sorts, right? In the case of Jacob and Esav, right, Jacob being the younger is ultimately chosen to be the one to carry the legacy. His brother is supplanted. So here, we have a situation in which, right, the blessing should go to the eldest and the blessing of the secondary nature to the younger. But Jacob, for various reasons the rabbis debate, one of which is old age, he's blind, but he does something strange. He reverses his hands and he blesses the younger first before the elder, right? He follows this pattern of tradition. Now, the one pattern that breaks in this case is the response of the two children, okay? Instead of fighting with each other, instead of the older resenting the younger for now being supplanted, there is no mention whatsoever of any violence of the sort, and quite the contrary. In Midrash, these two characters are considered to be the archetypes of peace, of being able to relate with each other, even in conflict, right, in a peaceful nature. They have broken the particular chain of tradition that has been listed before them of brothers fighting against brothers. And so for that reason, even though Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right, we bless them in lots of ways, they bless us in lots of ways, they appear in lots of other places. But in this particular instance, whoever it was along the way who decided that in this particular moment, when we bless our children, when we bless our young boys in our homes, if we do it, that we continue this tradition of blessing Ephraim and Manasseh, that they should be like these two, because they are emblematic of what really is our highest aspiration. It's not always easy to reach that aspiration, especially in moments of war, right? The idea or the concept of peace is such a complicated conversation right now that it's a word that, for me, is one of the easiest words to say, and right now is one of the hardest ones to talk about. But this teaching really struck me as very powerful and very important in this moment, to remind ourselves that even in times of war, the people that we are meant to emulate in our tradition are not the warriors. We don't bless our children to be like King David, right? We don't bless our children to be a person born with a sword in their hand. We want them to be builders of peace. Sometimes the vicissitudes of life, the acts of cowardice and unthinkable cruelty, make that vision further, make it seem impossible, make it seem distant, make it seem something out of our capacity to control. And it's precisely in those moments that we have to have these reminders. Okay, there will be a point in which Ephraim and Manasseh need to be the ones at the front of our mind. There will come a day in which we get to a point in which our real question is going to be, what are we meant to do in this world? Who are we meant to be? And even when others try to take that right and that privilege from us, we have even a greater responsibility to remind ourselves of that aspirational goal. We teach our youngest, we bless them each Friday night around the Shabbat table with that blessing. I receive that blessing still to this day in the unlikely scenario that I'm allowed to have Shabbat dinner with my parents. Even in this situation, they still bless me that way. But my whole childhood, never thought about it, never even asked the question as to why that blessing, why these two characters, why these two people. And quite frankly, in the Torah, their description is minimal. There's not a whole lot to say about them, other than the fact that this whole thing unfolds with a certain grace that is not apparent in the rest of Breshit, in the rest of Genesis. And to me, I think that's really a remarkable element of who we are. And I realize, right now, maybe that's not what everybody wants to hear. But to me, these are the teachings that I come back to, especially when the world seems completely out of sorts, when the world is spinning. Who are we? Who are we at our core? What are we about at our absolute core? And God willing, may not be tomorrow. It won't be tomorrow. It won't be a week from now. It won't be a month from now, probably. But somewhere on the horizon, Ephraim and Manasseh are going to come back to the forefront of our minds. Will inspire us again. And may they bless us. May we bless each other with that legacy, with that essence, that core ideal that right now, again, feels so far away. So with that, I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
I want to clarify
Joseph's sons.
His mother was Egyptian, is that correct?
Ye-
Wasn't Jewish.
She was, yes, nobody was Jewish at that point. There was no, yes, but he was not of our progeny at that point for sure. Also, excellent point. Excellent point. Well, so also a good pitch, Shabbat services tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We'll have a chance to discuss it a little bit more. But with that, again, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. I'll invite us all to rise as we turn to page 586 at the bottom of our page. Aleinu l'shabeach, again, page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishmechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol amonaham, vanachnu korim umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei Mehelech Malchei Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Page 591. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai Nemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushemo Echad. Ask those in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. We first remember those who have passed in our community in the last 11 months. Isabel Becker, Bert Bitterman, Julian Busgang, Morty Schwatzky, Beverly Deshevsky, Deborah Fogarty, Jerry Goldsmith, Dr. Sam Gould, Dorothy Klein, Sean Leibowitz, Samuel Moskowitz, Jeffrey Nagelberg, Barbara Strasser, Fania Verrett, David Weinstein, and Walter Schwab. We also marked the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Ida Abelman, Gloria Brandt, Frank Britz, Frank Cohen, Miriam de Rothschild, Joseph Epstein, Thomas Nash Glynn, Howard Graham, Korea Grossman, Irving Hirschberg, Mark Joseph, Ruth Kahn, Ing Leopold, Frank Lester, Raymond Levin, Jacques Nouvel, Stefan Osofsky, Gelta Rubin, Molly Sent, Arnold Spitz, Andrew Strasser, and Timothy Vernon. Is anyone else saying Kaddish tonight for anyone that we didn't mention? Yeah. Of course, we invite those watching at home to add the names of your loved ones as well. And of course, we remember all the lives that have been taken in Israel. And we will invite those that choose to rise and those that choose to recite the Kaddish alongside the mourners on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayichon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala b'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach la'alam u'li'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata b'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Ehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Again, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope it still sounds something like what I sounded like before. I don't know. Better. I'll give all credit to the oral surgeon then. I guess whatever he did, we'll take a survey. As long as I didn't get a thumbs down or anything thrown at me, I suppose that's an achievement of sorts. But I was in all seriousness, it is wonderful to be back. I did take it as something of a sign that periodically rabbis just need to not talk for a couple of weeks. I'd like a less painful reason to remind me that, but I think it's a good lesson certainly learned. And I realized as I was thinking about it, I did see all of you together minus one very important person. I think when we were doing services at Cor Maria during COVID, I think that was the last time. Wow, that's totally different world. So it's nice to see all of you guys together. It's a real treat. Just a few quick announcements. Please, of course, join us for Shabbat services tomorrow morning. followed by our Kiddush lunch and Torah study. Those that are joining us on Zoom, of course, we always welcome them as well. Also a reminder, on Sunday at 9:30 is our lay-led morning minyan on Zoom. This morning minyan was conceived and continues in response to the war in Israel. A Zoom link can be found in the temple email, goes out on Thursday, and the Friday Shabbat link email as well. Reminder that the temple office will be closed on Monday, January 1st for our New Year, so I'll wish you all a very happy and I hope healthy New Year for us to come. A reminder, on Tuesday, January 2nd, 7 p.m., the Temple Anti-Semitism Committee will have its meeting on Zoom. If you're interested in joining, you can contact our co-chairs, Lauren Tepper, Julie Tatcon-Kent, or Ann Silver. Also, a reminder that the virtual listening circle with Rabbi Alan Levin will take place this month on January 16th and January 30th at 5:30. Registration is required for that. And I apologize to all of my students that I've had to cancel for the last few weeks, but I will teach on Wednesday, January 3rd, 6 o'clock. My next in the history of Zionism, the State of Israel. I hope that people will come back. I feel so bad that it's been so many weeks since I've been able to teach it. Again, welcome to all Temple members. Registration is required. And also just to note that next Shabbat morning, January 6th, we're going to have a special farewell Kiddush in honor of Bonnie and John Mahoney, who are moving to California. So those that know Bonnie well, I'm sure would be very happy to see you if you can come and join her and all of us as we celebrate them. And we'll miss them, certainly, but the wonders of technology allow for that connection to go on. And of course, we welcome all of you guys next door for Oneg Shabbat as soon as we're done with our service. But again, just to wish everyone really a Shabbat Shalom, and I'm so glad to have all of you back and to be back here. Neil, anything to add?
Well, we have a cantor.
Yes, we do have a cantor. Cantor Kevin, if he's watching in Australia, which is God knows how many hours in one direction or the other, we hope that he's watching and having a good time. 16 hours away. But he will be back, I'm not sure, by next week, I think he'll be back. So we'll be happy to have him back with us. And there was one other thing. Mimi's question about the flags. So before the renovation, we had American and Israeli flag here. We couldn't find them, and we found them, which is good. Now we can't find the poles, I think. So iterative life, right? We're slowly building our temple back up again. But yes, I think we will have those back in place sooner than later, but certainly important for us to have. So we're going to conclude our service with Shalom Aleichem, which is on, thank you, Marcia, 627, and page 627, and then we'll do Kiddush and Matzah. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zetchem leShalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kiddush is on page 123. We'll rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'horei perei hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavahanu v'shabahat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemahaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Bacharta Veltanu Kidashta Mikol Hamim Veshabat Kochecha Be'ahava Uvratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat Amen. L'chaim. I'm not sure if I was ready for that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamahotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Yeah, other side. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Come next door. That was a poor decision. Thank you, Josie. Oh.
You okay?
Yeah.
I felt bad for you.
Well, I think I actually had a pretty good